the Russian political system is still unknown. It may be nothing, because it may, there have been some unusual kinds of street riots and demonstrations, but they don't seem to hang together in any way. It may be that if it becomes really serious, it plays into a power game inside the Kremlin between Medvedev and Putin, but that's very, very far down the road. There are U.S. companies in Russia. There are a great number of Western oil and gas companies of all kinds there, both the big ones that you've heard of and also on the periphery, people who do work for those kinds of companies. I don't think there are a lot of economists there giving advice. I would say there's nobody anymore. That there was some of that in the 90s, and that's generally seen as, by both sides, for different reasons, as having been unsuccessful. They didn't like our advice, and we thought they didn't follow it, something along those lines.
How dependent is Europe on Russian oil?
Not Russian oil, I misspoke, as one does. Russian gas. They're very dependent, although it is a codependency. Europe is dependent on it. I don't remember the proportions. It's a little bit different for each country. And some of the southern European countries have gas from Algeria. Some in the north have gas from Norway. So it's not a total dependence, but they do depend. However, the Russians also depend very heavily on Western Europe for their gas revenues. That's one of their largest sources of income.
The Russians used their oil prices with trying to influence Ukraine not too long ago. Have they done that with other countries as well?
So far they have not, but there are many who fear that they will. And one of the, there's beginning to be a European conversation about what will happen if they try that elsewhere. As I say, at the moment, don't forget that they also need the revenues from gas. So it's not that easy. They can't just cut off all the pipelines and say, that's it, because then they won't have any money coming in.
And there is an effort to build a new pipeline. Is that through Turkey?
Yeah, there's a whole world of people who know about pipelines. And there are different arguments about different routes that different pipelines could take. And there are some that are considered more advantageous, because the Poles would prefer, there's one the Russians want to build through the Baltic directly to Germany. And East European countries are afraid of that pipeline because it could mean they could cut off Poland, for example, and keep selling gas to Germany. Most of these discussions are still they always sound more as if they've achieved more than they are. None of these pipelines have yet been built, and building a pipeline is itself a big project. But one of the things that's happening now is a long argument over how Russian gas should get to Western Europe, and are there better and more safer ways.